The psychological conditions that result from military service are all amenable to treatment.
Generally speaking, when it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder, early intervention is very important.
So I think the benefits for seeking help is you can live a good life. You can restore relationships with family, with kids, and you can find, real purpose in life again.
PTSD doesn't have to mean the end, because it can be better as a result. That's definitely our experience. It can definitely be better.
But it's very important to acknowledge that we have treatments and we have services that can make enormous differences to the quality of life.
Friends, there is life beyond the military, and I would encourage you to embrace it.
As soon as you know you have symptoms that may be classified not as PTSD, not necessarily as anything, but are symptoms that you are distressed psychologically, then seek help as soon as possible. Because the earlier you get help, the better and quicker your outcome will be.
First port of call is the GP. One, important to let them know that you are a veteran so that they can point you in the direction of veteran-specific services and also better understand the difficulties that you might be experiencing.
The role of the GP is important in providing overall continuity of care for the veteran.
You can start at points like your GP, an independent counsellor, a clinical psychologist, or even once referrals been had, to a psychiatrist.
A service called the Veterans and Veterans Families Counselling Service offers a free service for veterans and their families and has a 24-hour telephone line support as well.
And I refer in one instance to Veterans Care Association, which has recently been formed.
Services like Mates for Mates, the RSLs, Soldier On, etc. And these can be very good points of contact as well.
The immediate benefit for anyone seeking help for any post-traumatic stress or any other condition is that you can get assurance that you can get better, that there is a positive future in front of you. The great tragedy today is that still almost every week we have a veteran committing suicide, and probably 10 at the same time thinking about it or even attempting it. And that's a great tragedy. If any of those people had come to one of our ex-service organisations, they would have been warmly embraced and they could have been helped develop a pathway where they can restore their health.
Conventional treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder are best divided into three sets. They are biological treatments, which include medication, psychological treatments, of which at the moment we feel the trauma-focused approaches may be most effective, and also what I call lifestyle factors. And these are controlling those behaviours that tend to promote positive mental health. Things like regular exercise, diet, socialising, engaging in meaningful activities, and purposeful and meaningful voluntary or remunerative work.
There is an evidence base around pharmacological or medicines to treat PTSD. And at the moment, the strongest evidence is for the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor group. Medications can be very important sometimes for helping people to feel a bit more stable in their mood before doing the psychological therapy, and they're often used together.
The pillar of treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder is psychological therapies, and by that I mean talking or counselling type therapies. From just a supportive chat with a counsellor all the way up to evidence-based manualised treatments specifically designed for post-traumatic stress disorder.
The grade A or the most evidence-based treatments we have for PTSD are prolonged exposure therapy, cognitive processing therapy, and both of those therapies fall under the umbrella of what we might call trauma-focused cognitive behaviour therapy. And the third is eye movement desensitisation and reprocessing, or EMDR. And all of those three therapies have a strong evidence base for the treatment of PTSD.
In summary, the treatment for PTSD aims to extinguish the symptoms, and we are successful in doing that in a good proportion of people who approach for treatment.
Anyone who has served a single day in the full-time in the Australian Defence Force is now entitled to apply for a Department of Veterans Affairs white card. They call this non-liability health cover, and they can get free treatment for any of those particular conditions on that card. They realise that most veterans have experienced a number of conditions that are just common to almost all veterans, and that is, one of them is stress, and another is sun cancer, because we've been exposed to the sun, and others are anxiety and depression. So, and there are a number of other conditions as well. That sets them in place to be at least on the books for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and to be aware of other entitlements that they might be able to access.
There is an area that has been of interest in terms of research for the last couple of decades called post-traumatic growth. And what post-traumatic growth speaks to is the reality that life after adversity can be positive in terms of their growth, in terms of meaning of life, their psychological well-being, and also some of their mental capacities as well.
Post-traumatic growth to me is, I've had some bad things in my life happen. Wounded in Afghanistan. I've had friends killed in Afghanistan. I've had friends take their own life and die by suicide within Australia. They're bad things, but how do I now grow from it? How do I honour them and bounce back and do well within the community, within our society and throughout Australia? To me, growing from bad things that have happened in your life is post-traumatic growth.
What the medical model of post-traumatic stress disorder does, and it's absolutely necessary, that is symptom reduction. What post-traumatic growth does from a positive psychology perspective is not so much focused on symptom reduction, but the focus on living a good life in spite of some of the symptoms being present sometimes.
Our broad approach at the Veterans Care Association is to promote health and well-being, through a holistic health model. We absolutely promote peer support, so we offer gathering days every couple of months, and that provides an opportunity for veterans to come together, to share some of the stories of what's been going on in their life, and we have a meal together. There are a number of veteran support centres around the countryside offering different activities, but here at Nerang we have a woodwork shop where people can come in and create woodwork activities. There is a metal workshop to produce various, do welding and metal cutting. There is a large horticulture area where people can grow plants and convert them into other products like jams. But probably the best facility is just this coming together for a meal, coming together for a cup of tea, to share with some other folks and help encourage each other.
There's programs throughout Australia for veterans peer support programs. The government is running 2 pilots at the moment, one in Townsville and one in Sydney, and that is pairing people, mentors and people that are peers, so really it's peer-to-peer.
There is a wonderful program available called Survive to Thrive. This is really helpful for veterans that might be a little bit uncomfortable at this stage with meeting face-to-face with others. It's an online program, and they develop a peer support model with someone who might be located distantly, and this really is helpful for people that are living in remote locations that are not easily able to access an ex-service organisation in their proximity. Absolutely, we'd encourage veterans to come together with other veterans and support each other.
Another space where veterans get peer-to-peer support is within community organisations such as Soldier On, Mates for Mates, and Veteran Care Association's program of Timor Awakening, and their contexts and programs and activities where peers will interact with one another, normalise some of the stuff that they're going through, and absolutely provide an enormous amount of support and resources for recovery and for post-traumatic growth.
The Timor Awakening program is a mountaintop experience, gathering a group of veterans together for a trip to East Timor, and it's from that 2-week experience in Timor that they come back, and we then mentor them one-on-one for the next 6 months to help them realise that plan of action to achieve that healthier well-being life.
Initially the Queensland RSL said they'd love to embrace it and create it as a bit of a flagship program over a couple of years, and we were very fortunate to have the support of Bolton Clarke, who was RSL Care at the time, to come in and to co-fund us. And one thing I can say is for one veteran to go through Timor Awakening is less than it costs to have one veteran hospitalised in a psych ward for 2 days. The key aim of Timor Awakening is to save lives.
We're aware that there are a range of obstacles to veterans in getting help. Clearly, if families can encourage them, that is a help. If mates can encourage them, that will sort of be a help. But it normally takes someone pestering a veteran to actually get them to actually do something, and I encourage people to do that, because the worst outcome is to find that veteran has taken their life because they didn't know what to do or they felt hopeless.
There are a range and variety of resources in the community, and what I encourage people to do is to stay connected to loved ones. What I mean by that is simply be available, a listening ear.
Help is out there for veterans in terms of treating the PTSD, and help's out there for families also.
I stopped living in my mind back on deployment. I stopped thinking about it all the time. I stopped thinking about the military, and I started to focus on things like Zoe said to me, "You've got purpose. Your purpose is to be a father and a husband. They're two of the greatest things that any man could want in life." And it's a great blessing, to have those two things. So I said, okay, I'm going to be the best dad I can be and the best husband I can be. And I'm going to focus on that.
With Jenna being pregnant and our baby girl on the way, I think our future's bright. I think that we're going to do well and be great parents. But we've had the real conversation about what happens if we are stressed out, or what happens if I'm not feeling well or Jenna's not feeling well. We've had that open and adult conversation, and we both know and understand that it's perfectly fine to go get help. It's perfectly fine to speak to someone if we're not feeling well or if we're feeling uncomfortable.